In this video, I'm going to show you how you can do the shortstop base combo, which I call the extended shortstop, because anytime you do the regular shortstop, you can replace it with this one instead to extend your combos. So to break down this combo, it really only has 5 steps, and if you know 3 tricks, then you should be able to get this down without much issue. So those tricks are, of course, the shortstop. You also need to know how to do a vertical middle finger chaplain, and then the last one being a whip rollover. And then there's also this move, I don't really know what that's called, where you throw it around your thumb, but it's pretty simple. Now to start off this combo, you're going to want to hold the bite handle and think about throwing the first half of the shortstop, like that. Now I tend to catch it between my thumb and my middle finger, and then almost instantly transfer it to my ring finger. You don't actually have to use your thumb, but you can if you want to. Now after you do the first half of the shortstop, as you can see, the knife wants to continue that momentum. So that's the next step, is you continue that around and you kind of catch it on your middle finger. So now it's important, when you're doing the shortstop, you're gonna wanna choke up close to the pivots. That way when you catch it, the knife is resting where it needs to be for a chaplain, right between the spine of the blade and the handle. Because if you catch the balisong a little bit higher like that, and you try and go into the chaplain, it's gonna make it a lot more difficult and more likely just to slip off your fingers. So you wanna prevent that. So once you do the first part of the shortstop, continue the momentum and catch it on your middle finger like that. The next step is to go into the middle finger chaplain. And then after that, you're going to stop it with your index finger. What I find is helpful is you kind of think about doing the first part of the shortstop, catching it, continuing the momentum, and then catching it with your index finger. So you're not going into the full middle finger chaplet, but you're just doing like one rotation. And that looks like this. And that could be a good way to practice it. You practice each part kind of slowly and together. And I think about that's similar to probably how you learn the shortstop, where you practice the first half and then you practice the second half. So that way you can practice each individual parts and kind of get the mechanics of what you're supposed to do with your fingers down. That way when you're focusing on how to use the momentum, it becomes a lot easier because you're focusing on one thing at a time. And so that's similar to this trick. I just taught it to you as doing half the shortstop, continuing the momentum and kind of catching it on your middle finger, and then stopping it with your index finger. And so that is to help you get the movements down. But once you have that down, I like to think about it instead of in those multiple sections as you're just doing the shortstop, but instead of catching it between your thumb and like the inside of your hand, you're just gonna let the momentum continue going. As you can see in these two slow-mos side by side, if you do the shortstop but don't catch it, the balisong wants to naturally continue in that middle finger chaplain movement. So you're gonna lean into that. So once you have this movement down, the next thing you're gonna wanna practice is, instead of just doing one rotation, you're gonna wanna practice doing the shortstop into an actual middle finger chaplain. 2 things to keep in mind. 1, make sure that you're really catching the knife like this right at the pivot, like I mentioned earlier. And then the second one is, at least for me, it helps to kind of start slow for that first rotation to make sure that I've really got the correct motion. And then once you do like that first rotation, that's when I find I can really start to then like crank it a little bit faster. And when you're gonna exit out of this chaplain, I feel like it's helpful to slow down that last rotation just a little bit, which allows you to catch it with your index finger. So all together, it's gonna look like this. So after you've done that middle finger chaplain and stopped it with your index, you're gonna go into a whip rollover, just like that. Now, something to keep in mind, I find that when I do the middle finger chaplain, I have my fingers open like this, but when I do the whip rollover, I tuck them in so they don't get in the way. So this is a bit of style and preference thing, but when you're doing this whole trick, I like to keep the balisong in that vertical plane as much as I can. So when you're doing the whip rollover, you want to keep it nice and vertical. Now putting it all together, it's going to look like this. And as you can see there, the knife wants to continue that momentum from the whip rollover, which leads into the next movement, which is as simple, you just throw it over your thumb and then catch it like that. And finally, you can finish up the combo with a regular shortstop from the safe handle. I hope you're able to get this combo down. Let me know in the comments or if you have any other questions about it. Finally, I just want to say thank you so much. This channel just reached over 1,000 subscribers, which is absolutely insane. Thank you everyone for watching and commenting and learning from my videos. And finally, if you enjoyed this combo tutorial, then you're definitely going to want to check out this one next.